Welcome. When it comes to After Effects, it's actually very similar to Premiere Pro. So whenever you open After Effects, this is what you have. You'll have a list of your previous projects, and now we'll go into the top left corner, create new project. Now in this case, we don't need to put it into a specific folder right away. Whenever, for example, we create something over here, or we make some changes, we'll then press on Command S. So let's create a composition. Press OK, that doesn't matter. In this case, we need to press on Command S, and only now it's going to allow us to save it somewhere. And then we would save it in a specific folder. But we'll talk about this a little bit later. Delete this for now. Welcome to After Effects. So as I said, After Effects is very, very similar to Premiere Pro. Instead of sequences, what we have in Premiere Pro, in After Effects we have compositions. So we can create a new composition by pressing Command N, a shortcut, or by pressing here or pressing here. Let's go ahead and press, and let's create 1080 by 1920, and let's set 60 frame rates. And what's important here is that whatever settings you put here, it's going to save it, remember that, and then whenever you create a new composition, it's going to remember these settings all the time. So if I set, right now it's 27 and 14 milliseconds, that's probably because of the video that I created in the past, because I needed to have that length. But let's put this on 10 seconds and press OK. So now we created a composition, and you will notice that what we have here, this program monitor, we have exactly the same thing here on the right. This is a composition. You will notice that my layout looks very similar. Project here, the properties and things like that over here. This is the timeline, and this is the program monitor. This is a program monitor, or in this case composition. This is the timeline. I have all sorts of effects over here, and this is where I have the project and all the files associated with that. Let's do the same thing, put the same video over here, and then I can drag and drop the video here. We'll have exactly the same thing. We have a number of tools here at the top. You will notice that they are slightly different from Premiere Pro. Yes, we do not have a tool, something like a cut tool, for example, because we need to use a specific shortcut to make a cut. So in this case, it's going to be Command-Shift-D to make a cut, and it's going to cut it in two. And you will notice that After Effects works slightly differently to Premiere Pro, because in Premiere Pro we can have multiple things on the same track, but in this case we don't have tracks, we just have layers. And I cannot put, for example, like this video on this level over here, and we cannot put two things in the same layer. Pressing Command Z to undo, and it's a very similar thing where we have window. There you go. These are all the windows that we can create or add. We have different workspaces. In the top right corner, I can go into horizontal, vertical. Overall, the idea behind this is similar, is just the way we work with layers is slightly different. And so After Effects allows us to create very interesting 3D or all sorts of motion graphics, animations, which is a little bit harder to create in Premiere Pro. Let's quickly go through the tools. We have V, our selection tool. Then we have Hand tool, which we can activate by H, or we can, let me press on V to activate this. And then if I hold space, it's going to select this tool. If I get rid of space, it's going to go back to the selection tool. So this is actually very convenient, because when, let's say I'm going to select this one, pressing Command D many times, and let's say we have all sorts of layers. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Instead of like moving to the right or to the left, I'm just going to press on Hand tool and move like so. So this is very, very convenient. And you can press on Option or Alt on PC to zoom in and out here in the timeline. Now the zoom tool allows us to zoom in, and we can click over here and then press on Fit to go back to the full screen. And you will notice that what we have on the screen, like these map animations, this was created in After Effects. Like everything we have on the screen was created in After Effects. Okay, these tools needed to use the 3D camera. You probably will not use the 3D camera because it just takes a lot of time, especially for the faceless YouTube channels. I mean, it depends on what kind of videos you create, but if you will be working 3D camera, you will use these. Now the rotation tool allows us to just rotate things like so. The pan behind tool is similar to Premiere Pro, where let's say I have this layer that's a little bit smaller, and then I can move its contents around by having exactly the same length like so. The shape tool allows us to create a shape. If we deselect everything like so. Or if I delete this and if I select this video, we can actually create a mask. Mask basically isolates certain areas and shows only certain areas based on what you tell it to show. And you can do this with the shape layer. Then the pen tool, when we can draw something on the screen like so. Text tool allows us to write text. The brush tool allows us to brush, and we have a separate window like so pop up, but honestly I rarely use the brush, so we will not necessarily need it in this case. Let me resize things a little bit. And another very useful tool we have is a roto brush tool, which is this one. It allows us to separate certain things. Let me just delete these parts. Let me double click. By pressing command, I'm going to make, and using the mouse, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I can select the part of the boy, for example, and press in space, and it's going to analyze the movement of the boy, and sort of like a mask that does automatic selection. You saw that it wasn't perfect at some point, like over here. You can see the movement became a little bit too fast, and we can freeze this layer. I'm going to press and stop to not do it forever. And if I disable all of this, close this, you will see that we kind of made a selection of just the boy moving like so weirdly. And anyway, this is what you can do in After Effects very easily. Now we have interesting tools here, for example, like the align tool. Let's say we add something on the screen, and this align tool, which we can activate by going to window and align, we can put something right in the middle, which is very convenient. Then the properties tab, which once again, window and properties, we can change different colors. So I can change the color of this part, or I can change the roundness of this. The properties panel is super convenient. But later I will also show you how to add even more stuff to save even more time. And I know it might be a little bit like scary because it's just a little bit too much, but trust me, it's not scary at all. The first time you're seeing this, okay, it might be a little bit overwhelming, but trust me, with a little bit of practice, it's not going to be a problem at all. One thing I do recommend is if you go into the default workspace, this is what you get from the very beginning. If you are planning to create vertical short form content, then go ahead and customize it to be like so. In this case, you need to grab the composition, put it to the right, put the properties here, align tool, audio, effects, just put everything there. Make this one a lot bigger. Preview, we can move it left as well. Actually close the preview panel. Effects is good. Audio, we don't really need it in After Effects. Align is good. Properties is good. Effects, project. Let's just customize it a little bit. Let's do it like so. So we have the project stuff on the left, and we have all sorts of like properties, effects, things over here. And then you can right click, save as new workspace, like so. Give it a name, and then it will appear here at the top. Super convenient. And then you will have it just saved to this layout. So this is a quick overview of After Effects. If you have any questions, let me know. But other than that, I will see you in the next video.